intro.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Imraatun Mufidah and we are from
Lihat mas.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Imraatun Mufidah and we are from Group 5. In this video, we would like to present the presentation about narrative perspective. Are you ready for watching this presentation? Yes! Okay, let's begin our presentation. In this first slide is talking about the definition of narrative perspective. Narrative perspective is also known point of view. In literature, point of view is the mode of a narration that an author employs to let the readers hear and see what takes place in a text. So, narrative perspective refers to a set of features determining the way a story is told and what is told. It includes the person who is telling the story, or we call it narrator. Okay, let's move to this one. There are some kind of narrative perspective or point of view, such as first is first person, second is second person, and the last one is third person. There are some kind of third person, such as objective, limited, and omniscient. In this slide, I'll explain about the first person or first point of view. In the first person perspective, the narrator is a major participant in the story and speaks using the pronouns I, me, we, and us. Because in a first person, the narrator is a major participant in a story, so the readers only can see what the narrator sees and choose to share to the readers. The narrator cannot comment about anything he does not personally witness unless another character tells him about it. Okay, I'll give you one of the best example in a first-person point of view in literature. This is a book with title Hamlet by Shakespeare. In this character, Hamlet is a protagonist. For your information, this part is explained about the feeling of melancholic that afflicts him, Hamlet, after his father's death. From that part, the first point of view gives us a glimpse into the real inner feelings of frustration of the character. The writer has utilized the point of view to expose Hamlet's feeling in a detailed way.
Okay, next I will explain about second person. Second person in a point of view where the reader is addressed directly. In fiction, a second-person narration is often used to transform the reader into a character, as a means of drawing them closer to the story. When writing from this POV, authors will most commonly use the pronoun you. The next is characteristic of second person. The characteristic of second person is least common POV for fiction, most commonly used for instruction, cookbooks, guidebooks, and how-to manual. And there is advantage and disadvantage of second person. The advantage of second person is most efficient way to communicate interaction and direct a process. And the disadvantage of second person is difficult for amateur fiction writers. It means style can be off-putting for some readers. Here's the example of second person. The example of second person is Italo Calvino used the uncommon point of view in his postmodern novella. If a writer's like a traveler in this passage, now you are on the bus, standing in the crowd, hanging from a strap by your arm, and you begin undoing the package with your free hand, making movements something like a monkey who wants to peel a banana and at the same time cling to the pole.
Okay, now move to the third person. The third person point of view is a form of storytelling in which a narrator relates all the action of the work using third person pronouns such as he, she, and they. It is the most common perspective in the works of fiction. There are two types of third-person point of view: omniscient, in which the narrator knows all the thoughts and feelings of all the characters in the story, or limited, in which the narrator relates only their own thought, feelings, and knowledge about various situations and the other characters. And now the advantage of the third person. Very often, new writers feel most comfortable with the first person perspective, perhaps because it seems familiar. But writing in the third person actually affords a writer much more freedom in how they tell a story. Okay, now the example of the third person perspective. When Jane and Elizabeth were alone, the former, who had been cautious in her praise of Mr. Bingley before, expressed to her sister how very much she admired him. "He is just what a young man ought to be," said she. "Sensible, good-humored, lively, and I never saw such happy manners. So much eyes with such perfect good breeding." Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, the next is objective point of view. When you are using this objective point of view, it's case of giving just the facts. The reader is never allowed into any of the character minds, nor given any their feelings or emotion. The reader has to judge what the character is thinking or feeling by what they say, what they do, and their facial expression. Jadi maksud dari objective point of view ini, sudut pandang yang objektif di mana pembaca hanya bisa menilai sebuah karakter dengan apa yang karakter itu lakukan, apa yang karakter itu katakan, dan ekspresi dari wajah karakter tersebut. The advantage of objective point of view is allows author to give character true motives and loyalties hidden, effective for mystery and suspense. And the disadvantage is all thought and feelings must be shown via dialect and action. Reader has to figure out who to root for. And the example. Dino woke up at 2 in the morning. He got up and went to the medicine cabinet, then took a few pills and swallowed them without water. After that, he got dressed and took a gun from his cupboard, the gun hidden behind his coat pocket. He hurriedly descended the steps to the front door, started the engine, then headed toward the jewelry shop. In this example, we never know what will Kino do, but we can guess from the chronology. Maybe he wants to rob the jewelry shop.
Well everyone, now let's move to the next types of third point of view, that is omniscient point of view. As we know, omniscient means knowing a lot. Knowing a lot. So omniscient is a technique of writing a narrative text or telling a story in which the author or the narrator knows a lot about the thoughts, feelings, or the habit of each character. By using this technique, the author or the narrator can bring us a story about each character specifically. They can move from one character to the next character. They can tell us about the relationship between one character to the next character. So, the narrator or the author is the one who knows the information about each character, and you need to underline that the narrator or the author doesn't exist inside of this story. They just the intermediary. Yes, the intermediary between characters to the readers or listeners. Well, now let's move to the example of omniscient point of view. You can stop the video to read the example and then play the video again to listen to my explanation. Well, from this example, we can see that the author or the narrator used the pronouns he or she or directly mention the name of each character. We can know that the author knows a lot about each character. The author describes each character in detail. We can know their thoughts, their feelings, or even their behavior. So guys, what's exactly the purpose of omniscient point of view? Omniscient point of view technique allow the reader or the listener to know everything about characters. Therefore, the audiences can gain an insight into characters' minds and create a bond with them. Okay, for the last everyone, in conclusion, point of view is a perspective that's used by the author or the narrator to deliver a story to the readers or to the listeners. This perspective, this point of view usually doesn't change from the beginning till the end of the story. But however, if the author changes the perspective, it will break the attention of the reader or the listeners. So, point of view is divided into three types: first person perspective, second person perspective, and the last is the third person perspective. From these three perspectives, we can see how the author convey their story